And thank you for joining us today. For today's webinar is Refresh, Revive, and Rejuvenate Your Store. I'd like to introduce our presenter today, Retail Solutions Coach Natalie Tan. Natalie provides clients with tools to excel in their business. Over 25 years in specialty retailing has provided Natalie with the expertise to offer innovative strategies to help you maximize your revenues. Without further delay, let's begin. Natalie?
Hi, thank you, Lane, for the introduction, and welcome everyone to this webinar. Today, I'd like to talk about how to refresh your store for the spring season, or rather, for some people, it'll be the summer season. Now, in talking about refreshing and reviving, I'd like to show a case study that I did for a shop, basically a fashion shop in Whitehorse. They asked us to renovate their store because it's been 12 years since we built that store. And this time they said they wanted to target also a new audience. So I thought this would make a perfect case study to show how we actually refreshed, revived, and rejuvenated the store. So let's begin. First thing we always talk about when we refreshing a store is how can we inexpensively refresh the look of the store without tearing out tiles or building up new walls. So the least expensive way to go about this is basically using wallpaper or just a fresh coat of paint. And the way I normally approach this is to look at what is the brand of the store? What is the brand DNA? And when I talk about brand DNA, we're talking about what does your logo look like? Does it actually convey the message that you want to, or does it target the right market? So in this store, it's a ladies fashion store. Their core target market has grown up, and they now would like to add a new market, which are the younger contemporary group of people. And so when we looked at their logo, we also did revise on their logo. So if you take a look at the screen now, if you take a look at the top right, that Seasons Galleria is their old logo. That was what we decided on 12, 13 years ago when they wanted to look more upscale. They carry brands that are upscale, like Frank Lyman. I'm not sure if most of you are familiar with that, but those in fashion, I'm sure, would know that brand. Dresses start probably about $180 to $250. And so the logo wanted to convey an upscale feel about the store. However, that has since changed. I don't know about you, but nowadays, especially here on the West Coast where I am, we no longer wear career clothing. We no longer wear expensive dresses. We're more into athleisure. And so, having said that, the new market right now, the younger generation, are really into athleisure wear. And in fact, they wear that for work, or what we call smart casual. So if you take a look at the new logo we have on right below the old logo, it's cleaner. It's still the same name of Seasons. And the colors we used here, right now I'm showing you green, but we actually have different colors to convey different seasons or different target market, or just if it looks better with a particular line of clothing. So in establishing your brand DNA, I think you know by now what I'm getting at is, who is your target market? Male, female, what age group? What are they into? And how does your logo reflect your product selection? So the shop name, the logo, the stylized font. If you take a look at the older logo, it appeals to a more, I would say, more mature target market. Whereas down below on the new logo, it's pretty much neutral. It targets a more contemporary, younger audience, but at the same time, it does not alienate the older target market that they have. So the colors used also convey who your target market is, and I'll get into that in a bit. Your interior shop design, the finishes that you use, for example, laminates that you use, if you use tiles, if you have drywall or slotted standards, or I'm not sure how many of you might use slat wall. These all convey or support the target market and the price points that you carry in terms of your merchandise. And of course, this filters down to your selling signs. So let's move on to the next slide. And I'd like to talk to you about how having a strong brand DNA benefits you. So first of all, if your brand DNA is clear, you will be able to attract your target market quite well. You will resonate with them. So take a look at your logo. Does it resonate with your target market? We also want to ensure that we establish relevance of your business to your target market and build a relationship of trust and confidence with them. Now, going back to that season's logo, if you look at the old logo, it doesn't really resonate to the younger market, right? So in that sense, you're not really relevant to them. Also, we'd like to ensure that you set your business apart from your competitors. So, for example, in that street, you might have 3 or 4 fashion stores. How do you differentiate yourselves? You might even carry some similar lines, but one store might target a certain market and the other store might target a different market. So in that sense, you'd like to use your brand DNA, your logo, the colors that you use, set yourself apart from your competitor. Now, we also need to ensure that you're effectively conveying what you're really selling. It's funny, I asked people what they sell, and usually I get people telling me, oh, I sell shoes. Well, shoes happen to be your product. What you're really selling is what the benefits people get out of using the product that you sell. So, for example, in a shopping center, there might be 5 shoe stores, but the first shoe store might actually be selling the latest fashions. The second store might be selling comfort. The third store might be selling health. The fourth store might be selling sports. So they're all shoe stores. However, they sell different things. I'm sure the fashion store will not be selling comfort, right? Most fashions shoes right now with several inch heels are really the last thing you need for your health. So that's what I mean by how do you differentiate yourself from your competitor, even when you carry a similar product type of category. Now, going on to the next. So still with what are you selling? In essence, I'd like you to tell me what the benefits your customer gets out of purchasing from you, and how does it enhance their life. And in essence, we're trying to establish something that is priceless. So another client of mine, a Live Health Center, if you take a look at the signs that we have made up for their store, instead of saying joint pain, right, which is not really very positive, we now say revitalize. And we have images of people of a certain demographic being healthy and being active. On the other hand, we also don't say need to lose weight or diet. Instead, we talk about healthy weight. And again, it's depicted by images that support what we're trying to say. In this case, we're enhancing their lives, we're enhancing their living. And by purchasing vitamins, minerals, or any of the supplements, we're actually giving them a new sense of health, either whether it's for boosting their immunity or being able to sleep well at night. Those are the benefits that you get out of use of the product, instead of saying, vitamins for old people, right? Which doesn't really sound very nice. So in essence, for a Live Health food store, they're actually selling you an enhanced lifestyle. They're selling you health and happiness. So moving on, I'd like you to basically use your branding elements to relate to your target market. So what I mean by branding element is, for example, looking at that Alive example in the previous slide, the color is green, and it's it very much conveys revival. It conveys healthy lifestyle. The font that was used for Alive is basically their logo that people already recognize. We also change the interior of their stores to reflect their brand. So in essence, when you do your refresh for spring, make sure that the colors that you choose, whether it's wallpaper or wall paint, reflect your logo. And in essence, this conveys your target market, the expected product selection, and the price points. So before people walk inside your store, they already have an idea of all these. Are they the right market to go inside their store? They already have a set expectation of the price points. And going back to that old season's logo, when you see that logo right away, the expectation is of high price point. However, the newer logo still maintains, not really dirt cheap, popular price point products, but rather more of competitive prices and a little bit friendlier than it was before. Now, talking about colors, I think we're all very emotional when it gets to colors, and we have our set preferences. In terms of colors, they all mean different things to many different people and different cultures. However, in North America, we dress by the season and we buy by the season. And what I mean is this. When fall comes around, you notice that you're changing your wardrobe. You're actually wearing warm tones, more on the browns, the richer clay reds that we wear. Now, in the summer, we certainly don't wear that. We wear more pastel colors or whites. In the spring, we'd like to, after wearing black and white, or basically just black and gray charcoal the entire winter, we now like to wear colors such as fuchsias and reds and turquoise and maybe greens or chartreuse greens even. So the colors that you use for your logo in your store need to resonate to your target market. And you can just download any color chart on the web and you can choose the colors that you would like to convey your message. For example, muted tones convey higher price points. Take note of sale signs. Sale signs are usually bright reds. However, when you go to higher end stores, they can still have sale signs. However, their sale signs now don't use the bright red. They target probably a different demographic, and therefore they use more of burgundy reds, or in that sense, it's a muted red that they're using to convey a higher price point. The vibrant brights target a wide range of audience. Just think Toys R Us. Take a look at the color of the logo that they have. It's very vibrant and it targets a younger market and pretty much says everybody's welcome. Monochromatic refer to black, charcoal, gray, and white. And now these are used normally for contemporary stores. Neutrals are the ones that are forever colors. And these could be your navy blue, your black, your beige, your browns. These are neutrals. And any neutrals actually go with any other color that you'd like to put it up with. And then warm tones and cool tones. Warm tones, basically, if you take a look at the rainbow, the red, orange, yellow, those are your warm tones. And the green, blue, violets are the cool tones. Again, this reflects on your target market and what you're trying to sell. So if you have any questions and you're not sure about the color tones that you'd like to use for your logo, you're more than welcome to email me at info@natalietan.com and I'd be happy to help. Right? So next, let's take a look at font style. Now, this is very interesting. A lot of people have preset beliefs or understanding of what a font should look like based on the product selection that's inside the store. Now, take a look at the examples I have here. I have Rex 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, on the right column, I have the retail category. So for example, women's salon. Do you think Rex 1 is an appropriate font to use for a women's salon? Or would you rather Rex 3 for a women's salon? Or maybe Rex 5, right? So in essence, the font already conveys pretty much the mood of the store. In a pet shop, would you use Rex 1, Rex 2, or Rex 3? Now, Rex 1 for me really looks more like a law office. And so I thought that should be appropriate for a law office. For, say, a high-end contemporary home decor, the last thing you'd want to use is probably Rex 3 for that contemporary home decor. Rather, you might want to go for Rex 2 for a high-end contemporary home decor. And for the print shop, which one would you like to use? For me, I prefer Rex 4 for the print shop. I think you know where I'm going with this, right? Now, in terms of font size, here's another thing that people normally don't think about. Toys R Us, if you think about it, has big, bold letters, and that's because it welcomes everybody. However, if you're a high-end premium store, you might want to segment your market. And in the way, one way you could do that is to use the font and logo colors that you use. For example, a law office will probably have a medium-sized font instead of the big Rex that you see right here on the slide. On the other hand, a high-end contemporary home decor will probably prefer a more medium to small size because of high-end. Just think Dollarama versus Holt Renfrew. Think about the logo they have. The higher end you go, the thinner and the smaller the logo gets. It's the same way with Old Navy, the Gap, and of course, if you go higher end than the Gap, you go smaller and skinnier, and that's the Banana Republic. Now, for a pet shop, small doesn't really work. For a pet shop, you'd like them big and bold because the product price points are popular and you welcome everybody into the store. Same thing for the print shop. Now, for the women's salon, you don't want big, bold letters. You want smaller fonts. Now, let's go into color. I hope I'm not confusing you yet at this point, but let's talk about color. Would you have a law office, or do you think a law office will have credibility if they used, well, the right font, the right size, but the wrong color? In this case, using purple. I haven't seen a law office in purple, but if you find one, let me know. I'd really like to see that because purple does not generate confidence nor credibility. In the same token, green actually more conveys health and nature, not really the business of law. So in this case, I probably would go for more of charcoal or silver gray color that gives credibility and supports the values of a law office. On a contemporary home accessory store, I would go probably for white because red conveys popular price point, which doesn't go with their high price point outlook. For a pet store, would you go for beige, pink, or red? In this case, I prefer the red simply because it targets everybody. Price points are popular. For the print shop, would you go for brown, turquoise, or blue? I would go for blue or even navy blue, depending on the print shop that you go for. The more professional you are, the darker you go. So you might go navy blue or deep dark blue for a very professional print shop. And for a popular price point day-to-day print shop, you might just go for regular blue. For women's hair salon, would you go for red, which conveys sale? Would you go for white or would you go for gold? Now, depending on the hair salon, if it targets an older demographic, then you might want to go for gold. Now, let's bring about interior finishes. So let's go back to the Rex, that is the law office. So bearing in mind that we chose, for example, the silver gray color for the logo, what you can bring into the interior would be something like this. You can have wallpapers or texturized wall panels, and the colors you choose might be more on the taupe, gray, or even chocolate dark brown or deep dark chocolate brown for the interior. Now, we don't want boring, but at the same token, you also don't want to be yellows and greens and reds in a law office just because you lose your credibility when you use those colors. Now, for interior finishes for Rex, which is a contemporary home accessory store, you can use the grays, the whites, the blacks. That way, the home accessory products that you carry will stand out better. And in the wallpaper, because you're contemporary, you might want to choose something that's also contemporary. For Rex, that's the pet shop. Now you can bring in the fun, right? You can have reds, blues, and yellows, your primary colors, and your wallpaper can also reflect this. I think you know what I'm getting at with regards to your brand DNA and how we convey or resonate with our target audience. The print shop Rex, for example, that uses blue can use blue, white, gray, and also a wallpaper that actually depict more of their product or services, which is print. And lastly, we've got the women's hair salon, which can use gold, black, silver, or so metallic colors in this sense, and wallpaper or tiles that reflect and support that color ID. So if your logo is red, white, and blue, you probably don't want to go to orange, brown, and green for your interior colors. Now let's talk about a case study, which is going back to Seasons Fashions in Whitehorse. Now we talked about revamping their store. 12, 13 years ago, when I designed the store for them, it was a different target market. And now they decided to revamp the store, have a more younger outlook. So let's start with their brand ID. This is just an example when I mentioned earlier that they have different colors. They can use greens, they can use the wood browns, they can use turquoise, and there's another color that we also use, which is more of a mauve tone, depending on what we're promoting at that particular time. So if you take a look at an example, this is an example that I did for them in this last winter, as you can see. The Seasons logo that we used for the big print is the wood brown, simply because it goes better with what we're trying to promote. And in this case, these are the taxi branded footwear. And within that window, the brand DNA is continued to be supported. The products that are displayed take their colors from the big poster because that's my main focal point. The products displayed below the poster also resonate with the colors that's in that poster. So hopefully when you bring in your brand ID to refresh your store, it is reflected also in your windows, which is the first thing that people see before they enter your store. These are other posters that they have, and as you can see, for the spring season, we use the green Seasons, and then for fall and winter, we use the wood tones. Now, this one was a window that we did for their holiday wear, and we used green simply because it went better with the big poster that we did. And again, keeping to the elements that remain true to the big focal point, in this case, the poster. This one here is another one for fall, and we use the turquoise color just in contrast with the poster that Tribal has that conveyed their brand. And last window I'd like to show you, and the reason I'd like to show you this is because at the end of this session, you will know how much they sold of this particular product. And it really is telling when your window is successful from your sales. Now, this is a ladies' fashion clothing. And you ask, okay, why men's underwear? Well, they wanted to start catering to men. We all know, I'm not sure how many of the audience are women, but men's wear is basically, well, they're purchased by men, but most of the time are purchased by women for the men in their lives. And so when they decided to add a menswear line into the store just to test, they started with the undergarments. And in this case, they started with sacks because it's what everybody's looking for. And so you can imagine on a very cold winter in Whitehorse in the Yukon, which can go to minus 48 centigrade, we suddenly have a very hot photo of a half-naked man right in front of the store. And I saw people taking photos actually in front of this window. Now let's start about the shop setup. So if you take a look at this photo, this is the old store. I designed a store for them that used gondola units. I mean, back in 2006 and 7, gondolas were in, and we love them. We put wheels on them so we can move them, although once they have product in them, they're really hard to move anyways. But that was the design. We used a lot of gondola units to frame our merchandise. And the colors that we used are white and more of that warm tone wood to convey that even if the logo is high price point, there's still more for affordable products inside. Now, this photo was taken just a few months ago, 6 months ago, and as you can see, their product selection has changed since then, and they're less into high-end price formal clothing and more into athleisure wear or smart casuals. This is another photo of the old store where a gondola unit was used. This is the denim section of the old store. They actually used fixtures and they put them together and created long aisles. And the color before with the old store was more on fuchsia and blue to go in their denim boutique. And this is just to resonate with the target market for the denim boutique. Now, in the new revamp, we looked at different color schemes that will still go with the new logo they have. And depending on your target market, again, these are the options that I presented. So this is the first, or basically I call this a color story 2, right? And this targets, again, a more a feminine audience and still within probably mid-range of age. Color 3, similar target market, just a different wallpaper and added more color tones. And what they chose is this first color story that I proposed. And it has more of a younger contemporary look, at the same time maintaining the femininity with the use of the wallpaper. So this is their current store. We added those elements inside the store. And if you take a look at the color, I would call it musty blue with a wallpaper and the green. Okay. And also in their denim boutique, the colors are reflected. We have the blue, the wallpaper, and the green on the other side. Okay. The back wall, we also used again. So not all the walls are painted. We just accented the colors on the walls depending on where I want the eye to go. And in this case, this is one of the back walls for the women's section, and I want the eye to go there. So this ensures that people who walk inside the store will walk all the way to that back section. Okay. This is just an example when we did the 3D rendering to look at how different color schemes will look on their wall. So before you come in, we were able to look at how the store might look like with those colors. Okay. So this is now the new store. If you take a look at the feature section, which is that round, deep, dark, chocolate brown table with the green accent ottoman, this remains true to that feature section, which is more of the dresses. The front section, where you have the wood colors, lighter wood colors, and the very texturized round ottomans can then also show the other stories they have in the store, and in this case, more of a casual look. So this is their feature story, and we added elements for spring. For example, just added small plants or inexpensive florals, basically, that I got from a dollar store. This is one feature that refers to the left side of the store, which is still women's wear, although not as dressy, more of what we call a smart casual. And then this is the corner, right? Same idea. Refreshed it with greenery and inexpensive dollar store flowers. I'm not saying that you can always get away with dollar store flowers, but most of the time I get away with it, just depending on how I place them on the table and also the other accessories that I put them with. Now, you notice the gondola units are gone. And the reason is I'd like to open up the space. And by using these inexpensive IKEA handrails, which I think cost $50, we're able to achieve or house similar amount of product as a gondola without the bulk of the gondola units. On the denim section, right, they added a plus size program, which now pretty much is in demand. And so we used, in this case, a gondola unit that is not so bulky. It's actually called a double T-frame merchandiser. So again, you could do folded items in here. You could do face outs, which you see with a red scarf, and you can do side outs for the rest of the items. Now, this allows you to house 12 units on a face out and basically one hanger per inch on a side out. This is for the more mature section, which is again for what we call casual wear, and same fixture that we used. So it's very flexible as the fixture is a neutral. And as you can see, it's black, it recedes from the eye. The wood is rich. That way it enhances the products that you're trying to sell, because if you're selling everything that's black and your shelves are black, it tends to fade from the eye. But right now, the shelves pretty much stop your eye and make you look at the products. Okay, more of the younger look, and this one is exactly the same fixture. You've been looking at the same fixture 3 times now, but just configured differently. We also added a seating area, just because usually moms come in with kids, and we need to occupy the kids to take their so that mom will be free to shop. I think some of you might know this, but a woman shopping alone on average stays about 7.5 minutes, but I'm sure in this store they stay longer. But a woman shopping with a best friend, another woman, would be about 5.5 minutes. A woman shopping with a child is about, I would say, 3 minutes, and that's why books will actually help keep the children occupied. And of course, men shopping with women. Can you guess how many minutes that will be? That's the least amount of time, because men will always say, hurry up, let's go, let's go. And therefore, you end up women shopping for 90 seconds instead of the 7.5 minutes when they shop alone. So a place to park the men and a place to keep children occupied is great. In fact, the owners tell me that this area here is well used and a good investment in terms of square footage. Now, when you do your spring revival, you also need to review your merchandise categories. The merchandise category play a role in a sense that some stores will have what they call their core products, and you also have your peripheral products. So say, for example, you're a store that sells wines. Wine right now would be really great, but if you're a store that sells wine, your peripherals would be accessories that go with wine. So say, for example, glasses would be one, wine coolers will be one, right? So these are your peripherals. So they are the accessories. So when you create a layout plan for this, you would like your core to be, say, towards the back of the store. In your peripherals, a place where people would walk past probably more than twice, hopefully. And that way you're selling your peripherals more than you do your core, because people go in to buy your core anyways. So as they're walking to the core, as they're going out of your store, or as they're paying, you want them to pass by your peripherals in order to sell those. Now, in this fashion store, there's really not a particular core item in here or a core category. Rather, within, say, a career section, there will be a core, and these will be your black skirts, for example. In a formal wear, within that, you might have a core which might be the jackets, right, that they may wear over their formal wear. And so in this season's fashion store, there's really not a defined core the same way other retailers might have. But in terms of reviewing their product categories, this is their layout before. As you walk in, the denim shop on your right-hand side, that targets a different clientele. On the left-hand side, you've got your career wear, right? That is adjacent to smart casual. Reasoning being, you could buy smart casual items and pair it with your career wear. And then towards the back, we've got formal wear and coats. And then further all the way to the back, you've got lingerie. On the other side, on the right, right after denim shop, we have casual wear. And then we have a section that's bags and scarves. And then towards the back, where the fitting rooms are, we have a shoe boutique and socks, right? I mean, how can anyone resist shoes right there in front of you when you're trying clothes on? Now, when we talked about reviewing their core customer and how they would now like to expand their customer to the younger group and also reflect the lifestyle of people that's changed since 10, 12 years ago, I'm not sure how many of you still wear formal wear. Most of the time when people go to parties, unless it's a white tie or a black tie, most of the time we usually just wear smart casual, don't we? So in this case, the formal wear section could be reduced. Smart casual can be increased. For career wear, it's not often that I see women wearing suits anymore, especially here in the West Coast, unless maybe you work for a law office. But otherwise, most of the time, people come into the office wearing smart casual again. Now, going back to smart casual, right? The denim shop, that's forever. Denim shop will always be in, although leggings are now overselling denims. Now, having said about leggings, athleisure wear is one of those categories that's going crazy, right? So casual and athleisure wear is getting bigger. And then the scarves and the handbags are still there. Same with shoe boutique and socks. Now, to give you an idea of how the store, the new plan now looks, right? We looked at what are the things that we could phase out from the store, or what can we add. In this case, they wanted to add or try out a men's category. So the new store layout looks like this for categories. The denim is still the denim shop. That's always been a great location for it. So people who just want to buy denim and are not into buying any dresses can just come in, make it easy for them, look for the products they're looking for, and then go to the fitting room and probably on their way to the fitting room pass by either the sale or the athleisure wear, which goes with their denim, and also loungewear, and then lingerie, and then the socks, and of course you see the shoe boutique. Now on the other side, we now have casual and smart casual together. The seasonal feature in this case right now are dresses, spring dresses, and even for proms, they now wear smart casual dresses that they could wear right after their prom instead of gowns. And then towards the back, we have dressy casual and smart sportswear. So none of the formal wear anymore. And if we do have a formal wear, it might fall under dresses and it could be under seasonal feature, say, for example, for holiday parties. Now, bags and scarves were placed on the opposite wall instead of the lingerie, simply because we needed to find a home for the men's Saks underwear. And to put the men's Saks underwear with women's lingerie was just a little bit odd and will make women feel uncomfortable in case men do come in and buy the Saks underwear. So right now the Saks is just adjacent to bags and scarves. And to segue to the Saks section, the gondola unit or the T-frame merchandisers can house bags that are unisex style. We don't call them man bags anymore, but rather they could be backpacks or laptop cases. And then going to the other side, we've got the athleisure wear or sale, depending on their stock for that particular season. That kind of evolves and changes. And the reason that it's there is because it's one of the more hidden sections. As you notice, there's a curve or indentation to the wall. loungewear succeeds athleisure because they're both together, and then lingerie succeeds loungewear, which makes sense. And of course, socks next to lingerie also makes sense. Now, results. Well, overall sales increased. And because we did the revamp actually in November, although the new star colors like the wallpaper and the paints were just done in actually this month in April, we were just there about 2 weeks ago. To give you an idea, overall sales increased, and most of all, the Saks. You remember the Saks window, don't you, where the half-naked man is? Well, they sold 670 units just in the month of December. So you can imagine how successful that is. Okay, now this ends our webinar session, and I hope you got a lot of information. Anybody who has any questions, you're more than welcome to give me a call at 778-881-3008, or better yet, you can email me. That way you can reach me wherever I am in this corner of the world. I'm at info@natalietan.com. Again, thank you so much for joining this webinar. I'll see you on probably in 2 weeks. I think in May we have another webinar, and I hope to see you then. That will be for May 8th, same time, 2 o'clock Eastern or 11 o'clock Pacific. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natalie, for a great presentation, and thank you to everyone for joining us today. Hopefully everyone has a great day.